Hi everyone, welcome to this week's TBT Live. First time I've done this in a while, and we're actually going to make a few changes to sort of the setup of this, which I'll explain towards the end of the show. But for now, this week I'm joined by Joe Watson, who on Twitter is at Joe Watson31, and we'll sort of run you through the non-event really that was Liverpool nil, Hull nil. So yeah, another disappointing one, really. Then Joe, I mean, what are your thoughts on the game in general? What went wrong, and any positives?
Obviously, there's positives in that. Well, we did keep a clean sheet, but it's not something you want to be focusing on after a game at home to Hull. But we just didn't look threatening up front at all. I thought first half, especially, we had a lot of possession, and I was impressed actually with Chan and Allen in the midfield. I thought they were playing well, getting us forward. And then as soon as we got to the sort of final third, there was nothing up there that suggested we were going to cause them real problems. I think the only chance I can remember from the first half, apart from Lovren's header from a corner, and there was obviously Balotelli's one effort that the one time we did get in behind, and then sort of we nearly scored. There just wasn't that sort of movement in behind that we had last year, and I know people keep going back to that because it was, what we sort of expected from this year, and at the minute we're just not doing it.
Yeah, very true. And you mentioned the midfield there with Chan and Allen in today. I mean, like you, I was quite impressed by Chan. I mean, he came in against Madrid. There was a few good moments. He burst forward well. Rodgers actually said that he prefers to play in a holding role, but he's someone that can play like in a couple of midfield positions, and I do like him in that sort of box to box. He's really good sort of powerful runs forward, and he's good technically. And I think he's going to be quite a good player for us. So yeah, if we just concentrate on the team, like I say, there's a few changes. Manquillo came in for Johnson, which I think people were pretty pleased with, and obviously we've got the clean sheet today. And then it was Chan in for Henderson, which some people were a bit shocked about, and obviously Adam Lallana for Philippe Coutinho, which again some people raised a few eyebrows at. So, what would you have done differently with the team today? Obviously Balotelli carried on up front. Not that we have too many options up there, but I suppose Ricky Lambert will feel a bit hard done by. So, were you happy with the team?
I was surprised that I think Henderson's probably one of our most important players when he's on song, especially. He makes a team tick, and I was surprised to see him dropped or rested. Depends which one it was, I suppose. And I think Coutinho's been important for us. When he came on against QPR, he changed the game. I know that again it was only QPR, so we sort of needed that. But I thought he played well then. And against Madrid, I thought he was one of our better players. So I was surprised to see him dropped. But then up until Lallana was dropped, he'd been playing well. So it was almost a case of that's the sort of positions that we've got good options in, that we can rest players like Henderson to bring in Chan, who didn't look at a place, and same with Lallana for Coutinho. I don't think he greatly weakened us. It was just a shame that we couldn't have them all playing really.
Yeah, I think it's a shame as well that Markovic hasn't quite hit the ground running, because you see his talent at Benfica and Partizan when he was there, and he really hasn't got into that at all yet. Really, I think he's sort of struggling with the physicality, and obviously when the team's not playing well, he's obviously I think the confidence is low a bit at the moment. But Markovic in form, I think would have given us a really good option. And I think it would have allowed us to rest Sterling a little bit more. As you say there, I think Sterling and Coutinho last week at QPR are both fantastic. But we've obviously had 3 games in a week, and Sterling began to look a bit knackered today, as he did a couple of weeks ago. So I think at the moment it's just a case of really can't wait to get Daniel Sturridge back to give us other options. Like I say, up front, Balotelli carried on. Were you happy with that after everything from the other night?
I was. I thought there was a massive overreaction after the Real Madrid game when I didn't actually think he was that bad.
Mm.
Just a case of he's not getting goals.
Yeah.
But I thought against Madrid he actually played well, and then it was obviously overshadowed by him swapping shirts. But make of that what you will. It wasn't as big a thing when other players have done it in the past, maybe for us.
Exactly.
But
Yeah.
it's just a name, isn't it, that people look to. They almost look for controversy with him. If he's going to do something, then obviously it's going to be a bigger deal than if someone else was to do the same thing. But in terms of performances, he's not getting goals, and that's clear at the minute that he's struggling to get the sort of chances to go in. I thought he should have scored a couple of occasions today, but at the end of the day, would Mourinho or Lambert do any better? I don't think so. So I was happy with him.
Mm. Yeah, and I think you're right there in terms of you say overreacting. I think that's the word that comes to mind with me and all this Balotelli stuff. I think what people don't think are appreciating, especially sort of in the media and that, is he's trying. Other times at City, I think a lot of people expected him to come to Liverpool and just be the same old Balotelli, but he's trying to make himself, he's certainly chasing. I saw a good tweet. I can't remember who it was from, but he's chasing balls down all the time, more so than Daniel Sturridge. And you can see he wants it. It wants it to work. He was very unlucky that chance at the end today that didn't go in, because I just think one goal would really set him off. But yeah, I wonder, when Sturridge is back, I wonder whether it'll be totally different in a good way. I think we'll probably see the best of Balotelli in the front too, I think. So yeah, what about obviously Ricky Lambert? Rodgers obviously doesn't seem too keen on using him at the moment, or Barini. Do you think he's being underused a bit, and sort of does he have a right to feel a bit hard done by?
I'm not sure. I mean, he did get his chance against West Brom. I thought he played poorly, to be honest. Doesn't seem to fit into the way we play, and I do feel for him because you can see he desperately wants to fit in with the style we have, but I just don't think he is. Like, I don't think he's ever going to. But if he does feel hard done by, I don't think it's as a replacement for Balotelli, but more a system change. And if we go two up top, as we did towards the end of the game today when he came on, we look better. We created chances, and if there is any reason for him to feel sort of annoyed at the team selection, I think it would be that he should come in for a midfielder. I don't think he should be expecting to start ahead of the other strikers we have available.
Yeah, true. Okay, so obviously that was the team. First half, what did you make of our performance? I mean, sort of who impressed you really? I mean, we were at times we were knocking the ball around quite well, and a couple of good moves from Lallana and Moreno on the left-hand side. As I said, Sterling wasn't as influential as he can be today, and I didn't think Allen had the best of games. But were you quite positive? Well, not positive at half time, but what were you feeling? Did you still think we could go on and win the game?
Definitely. That might just be my blind optimism, though. But I remember in the first half, I was sort of watching it without looking at Twitter or anything, and I thought we were doing okay. But as I mentioned earlier, the final third was the only area that needed improving. But then, from gauging other people's opinions, it looks like, I was in the minority there, and everyone else seemed to think we were playing quite poorly. But standout players for me in the first half were Chan. I really like the way he picks the ball up and drives on at the opposition. And I was impressed with Manquillo, who I think he's our best right back.
Yeah, I think he's coming and settled in really well. I think you've seen today, clean sheet. I don't think that's a coincidence at all, really. I think he's a lot more solid.
Definitely, yeah. Defensively, he's our best right back. I think we should be playing him. Yeah, actually, I think he should be our first choice one now, just because defensively he's the best option we have. And going forward, he does need improvement there. Because I think he does a lot of those early crosses that sort of go into the danger area, but there's no one there. But aside from that, I've been impressed with him and how he settled in.
Yeah. And then, so what did you sort of think was missing in that first half? Why couldn't we quite get the breakthrough?
An end product. I think it literally comes down to that. We didn't look particularly threatened at the back, and we got the ball forward. I don't know what the stats are, but we did seem to have the ball in that half for sort of most of the first half. We just couldn't create chances other than maybe one or two. Their keeper had a good game and he dealt with them.
Yeah, that sort of carried on into the second half. Also, system-wise, do you think that's obviously we've talked about winning the two up front? Just got a tweet in from Tom Corbett on Twitter who says we need Sturridge back. Simple as that. But today it was a 4-3-3. There wasn't much creativity from the midfield. I mean, at times we've obviously played Coutinho in the three-man midfield, but today it was just Chan and Allen. Do you think that's hindering us at all? the 4-3-3, or because it has been a 4-2-3-1, but we went to the 4-3-3 against West Brom, and we obviously got the win. I think he's trying to persist with that.
I've got a fairly set opinion that we should be playing the diamond. I think that's our best formation, and
Sterling up front, you think?
with what we've got available without Sturridge, yeah, either Sterling or obviously he's maybe needing rest at times. But Barini, I think he needs a chance. I don't know what's gone on behind the scenes with him, but I know Lambert was on the bench today and Barini not in the squad. But I'd be looking to get Barini in just because see what he's like alongside Balotelli up top. And then obviously when Sturridge comes back, it'd be him and Balotelli. But I just think we should stick with the diamond no matter what we do, because it's we always look better with it. No matter who the personnel are, we look better playing that formation.
Yeah. I think the only sort of thing I'd say about that is that for now maybe it would make sense. I think the reason Rodgers doesn't do it is because obviously I don't think he feels he has the right striker there, to partner Balotelli. He doesn't seem to fancy playing Lambert and Balotelli together at all, really. I mean, he did it towards the end today, but I think he sort of thinks, maybe not mobile enough as a front pair. And then also, yeah. And then he obviously, I think with Sterling playing up there, I think when he's in form, he is in form most of the time, really. Even when he's not playing that well, he's certainly our most dangerous player. You want him sort of involved, don't you? So whether that be at the tip of the diamond, where he has played quite a lot, sort of roaming about, causing havoc, or just further back, cutting inside from a wider role. I think having him a bit deeper and getting him, involved is what you want, really. But I'd agree the diamond certainly, helped us out a bit. Do you think it helped when Lambert came on in that second half and we switched to the diamond? Do you think that sort of pushed us on at all?
Definitely. I think it was quite clear that we were creating chances, especially towards, obviously, when you get to injury time, you start to push more players forward anyway. So it was natural we'd start to create chances then. But literally as soon as substitutions were made, whether it was the personnel coming on with Coutinho or the system change, but we did just look better. And, more of a threat anyway. I'm not so sure about better, actually, because maybe at the back we did look slightly more susceptible to a counter-attack. But we just look more of a threat, definitely.
Yeah, maybe it's something he might consider for Newcastle next week. Obviously, you've got Swansea in the week, so you think that maybe you make a few sort of wholesale changes for that. Yeah. Maybe might see the likes of Barini and Markovic. And so the second half. I mean, there's not too much to focus on, really. Do you think today we could have had a couple of penalties? I mean, obviously Sterling went down in the first half and then got penalised for handballing it, jumping on the ball, and then there was one towards the end. In the second half as well. What do you think? A lot of people think we should have had penalties.
I think the one on Henderson was a dive, and I think that was fairly just like sort of brushed over. Everyone could see that wasn't. But then the one on Balotelli, Balotelli was it? There wasn't. The one on Sterling. Sorry, there was a definite penalty in there somewhere.
Yeah,
I couldn't believe it wasn't given.
There's a couple.
Yeah, and I can't remember who the player involved was now, but towards the end of the second half, when it was fairly clear, it was Balotelli. Yeah. And as he broke to him in the area, and he went to shoot, and then he got taken out completely. Tried to shoot again, and then got sort of ran over by the defender that was there.
There was also the Lallana one when he got sort of taken out after. Do you remember in the first half?
Yeah. I was
after he played the ball.
They're rarely given, to be fair, because it's a sort of he's already played the ball. And the defender's trying to make the block and he goes to him. You see that every week pretty much. I mean, I'm going to appeal for that if it's against Liverpool, but you'd be seeing penalties every week.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely the one on Balotelli was, and the one where Sterling picked the ball up just after. It's either a penalty or a surprise Sterling wasn't booked for deliberate handball if the referee wasn't giving it as a foul.
But yeah, true. And
odd decision.
Yeah, indeed. So like I say, second half, did you think we were much better? I mean, the one positive from today is that we have kept a clean sheet. We didn't at all. I don't remember Hull threatening the goal at all, which is it's quite a big positive, and I'm sure that's probably something Rodgers will concentrate on in his press conference and stuff. Is that they didn't really get through as much at all. Second half. What did you think?
I was actually more impressed first half with the way we controlled the game more than anything. From the midfield, but then, as you say, we did keep the clean sheet. It's a bit of a shame that we're having to focus on a clean sheet at home to Hull, but you take what you can, and we didn't look threatened at any point. But it was just in the second half we seemed to have almost resigned ourselves. It was going to be another of those games, and I think I just don't think we almost felt we could score.
Yeah.
Sort of a bit of a non-event towards the start of it, and then we sort of got into our stride a bit more when the substitutions were made. But it just wasn't enough.
It did slightly remind me of sort of when we had Dalglish a couple of years ago, and we just the amount of 0-0 draws or losses at home. It was slightly reminiscent of that. We haven't really had that under Rodgers, but I think what makes it slightly different is that I don't think anyone sort of trusts the defence. So I think we always know that there's always a chance we could concede, and that's certainly something we've got to sort out. So obviously it ended 0-0, and how significant a result do you think that is? Do you think we really needed the win? I think we'd have gone quite far into the top four, I think, if we'd have won that today. I mean, at the moment in the table, I mean, it's obviously early season still. You've got the likes of West Ham and Southampton up there. But, how significant is it that we've dropped a couple of points today?
In the grand scheme of things, it depends how often we repeat this, I suppose. If this is the start of struggling at home to lesser teams like that and starting to drop points like that, then it could be significant. But if we can bounce back from it, then it could turn out to be another one like Southampton at home last year, where it sort of gets brushed over, and later on in the year you kind of forget about what happened because we're improving from it. So again, it just depends how we react and improve on it. As Arsene Wenger said, bounce back ability once. We need to show that now more than ever.
Yeah, and so, like I say, it's Newcastle next, and obviously it's Chelsea, isn't it? The week after.
That's not going to be fun.
Yeah, Newcastle away. I mean, on paper, you should definitely be winning that. They haven't been good at all this year, but it's always a dodgy one at St James's Park with us. Always ends up being a really good game. Last year we drew there. So what would you do team-wise for that? I mean, I doubt Sturridge is going to make that. I think maybe the week after for Chelsea he could, he might start getting talked about as maybe returning. But you've talked about obviously wanting to play the diamond and stuff. Would you go with that away at a team like Newcastle with maybe Lambert given a chance?
Definitely. Lambert or Barini, as I've mentioned, I'm going to start campaigning, I think, for him to start alongside Balotelli. And for the rest of the team, it depends on sort of injuries. Chan picked up a knock today, but I'm still not sure if he impressed me, but I don't know if he makes our strongest 11, if they're all fit. And I don't know if Sakho's back or if he's just back already and we just don't fancy him. Because I think if he is injured and he's going to come back soon, I think he could make a difference to us defensively. Although we look good today, obviously. Well, I say good. Although we didn't seem troubled today. In other games, we've obviously been very weak from set pieces and in the air. And I think Sakho will improve us there. I still think he's our best centre back. So if we can get him back. But yeah, apart from that, I think the midfield pretty much we're fairly strong in that area in that we can rotate Lallana, Coutinho, Henderson without really weakening the team.
Do you think we'll see Chan come out of the team? Probably Henderson to go back in, or even I thought Chan was arguably better than Allen today, and maybe Allen came off. I think he came off before Chan, didn't he? So maybe Gerrard, Chan, Henderson.
It depends on the fitness, I suppose, and who plays against Swansea. But I think our strongest midfield at the minute for me is in the diamond. Gerrard it's always going to be Gerrard. That's not a discussion, whether or not he should be there or not. But then in front, I think the strongest at the minute is Henderson and Coutinho probably, and then Sterling at the tip or Lallana depending on fitness, and then that gives us Allen and Chan to rotate if needed depending on fitness.
Yeah, we do have a lot of options in that area. You're right. I mean, I totally forgot about. Obviously, I mentioned earlier we have been playing Coutinho in the 3. I mean, he gives us that creative sort of side, doesn't he?
He's much better when he's in a deeper role as well. We've seen him disappear in away games when he's in the 10 or out wide left, so I wouldn't want to put him there. I think Lallana performs better at wide left than Coutinho does. Yeah,
and also I assume we'll probably see Sterling rested in the week. Probably someone like Markovic will play. So hopefully he's on top form next week. I think we might leave it there. It's quite a swift one today, but it really wasn't too much to talk about. As I mentioned earlier, there's a few changes that we're going to make to the setup on TBTLive. Elliot Binks, who I've had with me on here a couple of times, and also Mark Simpson, who's a regular, are both sort of going to join me as sort of co-host this year, um, sort of on and off. You know, we won't always be available, but if I'm not available, then either of them can fill in, we'll try and have them on as much as we can. We also want to sort of vary the guests this year a lot more that we have on, and obviously having a couple of other people helping me host will sort of broaden the context and stuff that we've got. So yeah, it should be a good one. I mean, it's taken a while for us to set it all up and get going, but from now on, after every Premier League and Champions League game, I'll be here, or me, Elliot, and Mark, and we'll be talking you through some of the games with your reaction on Twitter and stuff. Okay, so yeah, that was Liverpool 0-0, bit of a non-event. Could have been worse though. First clean sheet since August, and we'll see you after the Newcastle game next week.